Why does my HDMI, when I plug it in, decide to go... Do you know what I mean? Like, why is my laptop like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Can I get a It's just not
It's
happening,
just
is it?
pathetic.
my
Apple,
God,
if you watch / hear this, yeah, get a grip, mate. I've had enough of it.
Hello. And welcome to Code and Colour.
Here we talk all things animation, video games, and digital drawing. Josh, I've got to say, I don't know what I was expecting, but I know you said you weren't going to look at me, but that was hilarious. You just went... What was that, mate? What was that?
I had like an idea of like picking my webcam up and just like appearing.
Oh,
like,
no, the
And,
viewers
like-
don't need that. The viewers do not need that. Sorry, guys. That would be
So-
intense.
I'm Josh, one of the fabled hosts of Code and Colour.
Fabled. And I guess I'm the mythic Tyler. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could say that our answers are generated by AI. Oh,
spoilers!
foreshadowing.
Oi, spoilers! No need for that right now.
And,
Ugh.
they're not ready. They're not ready.
How have you been, Joshua?
Very good. Been doing a lot of drawing this week. Started doing a bit of painting.
Ooh, what actual
Um,
painting?
No, digital painting. So I've been digitally painting portraits, and I want to do like a bit of a scenery. I finished my commission, my bluey thing.
Finally, can we
that
move
I
on
was
from that
making.
now? You've been doing that for the best part of 2 months.
I can, yeah. They do it. They really liked it. I showed it to them yesterday. They really liked it, so they're going to get it printed out and put on the young lady's wall.
That is adorable. Fair play.
Yeah, so it felt good to draw something and just
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Welcome to the club.
Right.
Welcome to the club of that. Yeah.
Good.
Good.
It's good. I like
Yeah.
it. Other than that, just drawing other things with to do with the short that we are working on.
Nice.
But I'm going to start tonight drawing the hand of what the two hands doing something, just to see how that sort of like looks, and then I'll send that to you. So
Yeah.
a little scoop for Tyler there as well.
Lovely.
See what he thinks.
Love that.
Well, I've just started back at work. Which
Oh,
is,
good. Well done.
Also been fun.
Did you miss?
yeah,
Did you
enjoying it.
miss Mrs. H and Baby H today?
I did, yes. Missed them both dearly. I did come home on lunch just to see them.
That's good.
And then when I walked in now, he was sort of going to sleep, so I couldn't be like, Ren!
Come back,
so, yeah.
Ren.
Yeah. Wake up, I want to talk to you, I want to play with you.
I'm sure he'll keep you
it's
up
been
for
good.
most of the night. It's fine.
He will. How have you been?
Yeah, not too shabby as always. We've had a little bit of a meltdown trying to record today. My chair broke, so I had to nip out and get a temporary chair. Sit there, and then on top of that, my internet decided to just annoy me.
The things we go through for our
Do you know what I mean? The things that we have, walk a mile in my shoes, people. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Yeah. No, I'm good. I am good. Done lots of drawing. Been doing some animating actually for something for the short, which I will show you later, Josh. But it's a work in progress. I'll be honest. I will talk about it actually. So I've been doing a lot of test stuff, just because I really want to get the ball rolling with it and try and find a style that I think works for me. But there's a shot.
What app have you been using?
Toon Squid. Yeah, I'm fully on that now. Calipeg, I don't even know her. Do you know what I mean? I don't know her. The only thing I can't do is I want to cancel my subscription. It's less than £2 a month. I'm probably not going to cancel it, but I would cancel it. But it's got all my old drawings on there. So if I
Can't you just like download them and then put them?
but if I ever want to edit them,
Sure you can
but I don't have all the layers then.
But you'd have the finished drawing. You could just.
But what if I want to edit the
redo
finished
it?
drawing?
Well,
So it's only it's £1.89 a month. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, it's one less cheeseburger from Mackey's. I'll be fine. But what else have I been doing? What else have I been doing?
So what's your animation you've been working?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I hadn't finished talking about that. So I was inspired by a shot I saw. I think it's for Across the Spider-Verse. I'm pretty sure it is for that. And it's one of... I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm going to show you. I will show you, because I did a screen recording of it for my so I could look at it, because it's kind of the style I want to go for one of the characters. So I'll show you.
Hot take now, people.
Huh?
Hot take.
It's like this. Have you seen this one? It's quite... It would help if the pause wasn't in the bloody way, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can
Really
see
like the style of it. I just really like how
yeah.
erratic it is, and it almost kind of... I think... So I was thinking about it for one of the dark side characters, and I would think it would be a really interesting way to portray a certain character we have in mind, not necessarily a main one of the ones we have in mind. Spoilers. So I've been doing a lot of that. I will probably show you that later, and we'll show you guys when we've got a little bit more on that one. What else have I been doing? Tears of the Kingdom. Of course! Tears of the bloody Kingdom. And
I meant to ask you.
Go on.
What was in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? Do you know what? It's fantastic, actually. I've never bought a collector's edition for a game before. So I was like, I love Zelda. I'm just going to do it this time. So it comes with like a steel poster of the game art, but like it's expanded on a landscape style. It's really nice. Even comes with a magnet and a sticky pad so you can put it on the wall. Whether I actually will put it on the wall is, remains to be seen. But, it's an option. It comes with these pins. And I think they're pins of some sort of symbols that I'm sure will have some relevance when I get further into the game. If I'm being honest, I'm kind of doing the story as slowly as possible. I'm just really taking it all in again. Because Hyrule was so impressive for Breath of the Wild, and it's even more impressive for Tears of the Kingdom, especially as it's a lot more vertical this time. Yeah. So it's really nice. The best thing that it comes with is it comes with a fully fledged hardback art book that is like solidly this thick, and it's stunning. I haven't actually looked through the book that much though, purely because I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's got artwork for everything in there, and I don't want to spoil it for myself yet. And then the steelbook as well. But yeah, it's a really good game. So they've taken Breath of the Wild and just turned it up by 10.
Yeah, the thing is, I've been reading reviews on it, and like people say that it is the better version of Breath of the Wild.
So much better.
But it is still like Breath of the Wild 1.5. And that's the thing, like it does have the expansions of obviously what I don't know where you are, but there are obviously I know of the high rises and the places you can go, but it does feel like it is like Breath of the Wild 1.5.
It does actually feel like a DLC, but you're starting again completely.
Yes,
it does expand upon some of the mechanics. The only one thing I did like is I wondered if any of the game's data would transfer. The only thing that does is your horses in the stable. So if you had horses in the stable in Breath of the Wild, they transferred over to Tears, which I thought was a nice little mechanic. I didn't know that was going to be it, and I wondered if anything else. That they have their way of explaining how you suddenly lose all your hearts back down to 3, and the stamina wheel, which I think is actually more annoying in this game than the first one. I forgot how quickly you go around that stamina wheel when you're at the base level of climbing. It's exhausting how quickly, no pun intended there, how quickly you go through that stamina wheel. But yeah, I'm loving it.
I think the argument there is a future episode to discuss this is the fact that there is a £60-70 game in some like $70 I think it is in American, like £60 a year, but it is like a DLC.
I'd say it is and it isn't. We should discuss it, I think, but I would say it isn't purely because they have completely changed Hyrule. Like it's completely changed. Yes, the mechanics are very similar, but I'd argue it's exactly like the mechanics are exactly the same from Jedi Survivor, which I also finished this week. Jedi Survivor from Fallen Order, right? The mechanics are still the same. Yes, there's new planets and there's lots of fresh things. But there's lots of new places to explore in this. Like, the whole map is completely different. Yes, it's kind of weird. It feels familiar, but at the same time really unfamiliar. Hyrule this time, I think. And it's not like you have the same like abilities. You get completely new abilities in this one. So it completely changes the dynamic of the game, I think.
Do you think that I've seen someone on IGN talking about it? Do you think that this game needs a Switch Pro?
Yeah, yeah. I think it would look a lot better on a higher performing console. I think the Switch, as you know, as amazing as this console generation has been, and you know, I think we can all agree Switch is one of the best consoles that has ever existed. For every Switch was one of those consoles that had something for everyone. I think this generation they did it really well, but I think it's time to say goodbye. You know, this is 6 years into that console's life. For those that have never upgraded it in that time and gone OLED or even got the high performing standard Switch when it came out, if you're using that same one, which I am, it's a lot to ask of that console, really.
Yeah, I think the Switch, or Nintendo as it were, need to come into the PS5 and Xbox threshold of consoles. Like, because if you would imagine Mario on a 4K,
I can't understand why Nintendo have not made a console as powerful as Sony or Microsoft for that matter,
or even a PS4.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants a Nintendo to be coming out with a 4K console because it's just not Nintendo's vibe. But I would certainly expect a lot higher performing graphically console. Breath of the Wild deserves so much more love. Like, it looks alright. I've got a decent TV, but I imagine if you were playing it on a handheld, that thing would be like gasping for air. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is really good though. I'm really enjoying it. So I've been doing that. I've also finished Jedi Survivor, as I mentioned. Fantastic. Really, really amazing. Set it up completely for a third game, which I know is already announced anyway. But yeah, fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Really, just a really compelling story from start to end. I think it is still, even though I'm loving Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, I do still think Jedi Survivor tops it as the best game of the year for me. Or one of the best games of the year for me so far. Season being the other one. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing this week. I'm trying to think. Oh, and I actually watched something that is going to be brought up later in the episode, per se, as a little CMC.
Foreshadowing. Bit of
foreshadowing. Spoilers. We just love a spoiler this week. Yeah. But before we get into that exciting little segment, we have a whole whopping subject that we'd love to talk to you guys about. Should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Boom. So today we are going to be talking the widely topical thing that is AI. And I'm sure you've heard of it. He's heard of it. I have heard of it. See what I did there? We love a little pun. And specifically AI to do with animation. There's been a lot of, I want to say uproar, because a lot of the topics we talk about on this show have been something that has stemmed from uproar. And so we thought we'd talk about it today, put our 2 pence in it, be two white dudes, just giving our unsolicited opinions on the matter, really. Are you, yeah, so AI animation. Josh, why don't you tell us what give us some of your thoughts on the matter?
I think Skynet is taking over, basically.
He's been dying to say that. He's actually been dying to say that.
I just think it is. I think it starts with a drawing, right? And it will end with, the abolishment of the human race when, it eventually takes over and the machines come.
To be fair, it kind of did start with a drawing, right? So the AI's trend started, last summer-ish? And it was when it became sort of a popular thing, when you could AI generate those images and everyone was like, hey, look, I've made Shrek Darth Vader or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's something ridiculous.
Yeah. it started with the system, and I was looking for it today. The system was called DALL-E.
Yeah.
What I think it was the first system.
It was like Wall-E, wasn't it? But with a D instead of E.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Salvador
Yeah.
Dali.
It's like a play on Wall-E and DALL-E.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the thing that started it, and you know, for me, I can appreciate it, but it looks like it's a bit of a cop out for, like, you know, I look at some of these drawings and I go, these are really, really, really good. They feel soulless, 100%. Like, they feel like they've not got that passion in there, but they are really cool. And for me, do they feel like a cop out? Like, could I go ahead and draw this, or could I just AI generate it and just have the same effect? And if not,
but does it have the same effect? Because one thing that was starting to annoy me was, and this is more of a live action thing, but it's AI, so we're going to talk about it anyway, was this trend that's kind of still going on, Wes Anderson-ifying everything, right? And there's a trailer that was like a video that was going around Twitter, and probably other places as well, but that's where I saw it, of a AI-generated trailer for a Wes Anderson Star Wars film. Yeah. And it just was pathetic. Like, it was like, it's a base level. Like, it's like early, like, my first Wes Anderson film. Do you know what I mean? Like, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It was just not, it just didn't have that vibe that was there. You can't just give it some symmetry, some colours, and some characters staring down the barrel of a camera and go, this is Wes Anderson, because that's just not what the vibe of those films are anyway.
No, feel soulless.
Completely soulless. So I definitely get that. And, you know, whilst I get some stuff for AI has been clever. And it is clever. Yeah. I'm not going to take it away. It's a clever piece of technology. But it's completely unnecessary, and it's completely redundant to say that it's going to replace everything.
I think that I saw a similar thing. I did see the Wes Anderson one, but I saw one that was Marvel related, and it was Marvel as Tim Burton. And I was like, oh, this will be intriguing. Let's see what this is like. And one of the characters that pops up was Wonder Woman. I was like, well, that's a bit weird, but okay.
You had one job.
Then, yeah, one job. That's it. That's all you do. But what my takeaway from that was, yes, these all look really great, but they all look like the Marvel Cinematic Universe people. So
yeah.
Thor was Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man, you know, and it had all them characters. It didn't come with anything new.
No, well, it can't, can it? It's you know, it's
it didn't think of it like it felt limitless, limited. Sorry, it felt like it was a limited property. Like it was going, oh, these are the ones for the MCU. We'll just make them look Tim Burton-y. And I was like, well,
yeah. And I think
is it the be all and end all?
Well, this is interesting because something that we both have watched is a video from Corridor Crew, and it's the "Did we just change our animation forever?" And before we get into it, there's a comment that was related to that video, but it kind of in the same vein of what you're saying here. And apologies for language in advance here. So Samuel Dietz, one of the directors for Castlevania, made a tweet in response to the video that said, y'all didn't democratize shit. Y'all are just lazy thieves spitting on an entire art form. Fuck you. And it's true, right? You know, they didn't create anything new. This AI doesn't create anything new. What it does is it scans everything it can find that is related to a keyword you're giving it on the internet and builds an image of that. So if you put Thor in it, you're going to find a large amount of Chris Hemsworth. And so therefore, it's just going to be Chris Hemsworth. You're not creating anything new from doing that. You're just essentially stealing someone else's work and trying to pass it off as your own, which I think is a huge problem. You know, and given that plagiarism is a big issue as far as, you know, from the scale of anything in the cinema or music all the way to doing an essay at university. You know, plagiarism is a big issue, and this is just essentially glorifying that. That's what it's doing. It's glorifying plagiarism. And I think you're opening a window of problems. And I see a lot of people say with like AI generated music, I've seen a lot of people say, I can't wait for these companies that design these AI like generators to start feeling that backlash that they're going to face. and get those lawsuits from these big, music companies, because, Sony, for example, if you steal anything remotely from Sony, they will come down on you harder than a ton of bricks. Disney as well. These are people you do not want to mess with, and they will come for you. So I think it's just interesting in that respect. I'm not saying I'm entirely against AI, but it depends how you use it.
Do you think it's going to go the same way as 3D?
Yes, I do 100% think, and I've said this to you, and I think this anyway. I 100% it's a fad. 100% think it's a fad. There's no way it can't be, right? 3D, yes. Well, it's even still kicking about, right? But no one goes and sees a 3D film anymore.
Well, I mean, in that sort of vein, people do go see 3D films when they are banging. Like, I went to go see Avatar in 3D.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Avatar in 3D makes sense. The first one kicked off that trend. Massively kicked off that trend. So it makes sense for Avatar. But I think... Is that not just a nostalgia thing, though?
Well, I mean, they sort of pioneered the technology. They were like, we need to make an Avatar film that's,
I feel like Spy Kids 3D actually pioneered that, to be fair.
Well, they made it better. They were the tip.
How dare you? Spy Kids 3D is a masterpiece of cinema. How dare you?
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh my god, it's fantastic.
And I think that they sort of like made it their own, and Jim Cameron put all his money to making it a medium that everybody should support, and then everybody put their version of 3D into a film and just sort of like wore it out. I think for this though, with regards to like the AI sort of side of it, it's a fine line to draw to say like it's plagiarism, because yes, you are taking, say, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, but if you say mash that up with something else, say like VW Beetle, that's what I'm thinking there, and did Chris Hemsworth sat in a VW Beetle, and had that as an art poster, the only thing I think you could take from that is the likeness of each thing, like the likeness of the VW and the likeness of Chris Hemsworth, but that work in itself would it be your own, or would it still be an AI generated thing that you've put together? Like,
it's odd, isn't it? Like, how do you you can't how do you claim royalties for something that's all you've done is type in a keyword? And do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sit right with me. I don't know how it's going to work in that respect. I think it's definitely a fad. I definitely think it is a fad. I definitely don't think it will last, because it is soulless, right? And I think one of the big problems people have at the moment with the state of a lot of visual media is that it feels like it's just money. That's it, right? That's all people want is money. And this feels like, honestly, like a quick step to getting money.
That's a good segue, because from what I've had a look on the AI websites that's on the old Googly, every one of them is, get 4 little attempts at making your own little art, then pay me. Or, I'll generate this for a couple of times, but there's a paid subscription.
Yeah, why?
Or we don't do this work for free, it's paid. And I think it's because it's lucrative. I think people want to create images of Star Wars and Wes Anderson, of, June and DC, whatever it may be, and mash those things together and not put the work in, but see the end result. And I think it's quite lucrative, and that's why I don't. And
this is one of those things. It's like the fast food of visual media now, right? You don't want to wait. You want it now, right? But I think that's the problem. Is it like fast food? You look at it and it feels soulless. There's no love that's gone into that, right? It's part of a machine, generated by a machine, and that. Yeah. I don't think it will ever. I don't think we need to fear it replacing real stuff. Like, I don't think animators are about to lose work. There's a lot of comments I read, especially in a video that we're going to talk about, or the one we spoke about earlier, that are saying, this kind of technology scares me. I've been doing this kind of work for years. I've been drawing my entire life to build up a career in animation. I think that's a bridge too far. I don't think there's ever going to be a need to replace animators. You can't achieve a film like Spider-Verse without human craft. You just can't, right? You need them.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate.
Go. Love a bit of devil's advocate. I know you do.
We're working on something now, and you've told me the magnitude of what we need to do, and I'm happy to surmount that task. But do I think that we're not there yet?
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
No,
but
no. But in terms of technology, but if you came to me and you went, Josh, you need to do this many slides for this many things, and I could pass that off to something else to make a rough,
but why
idea of it. But because of time, like, do I want to spend a year doing something that's a project? Yes, fine. Or do I want to get the thing to do it in 6 months? And it'll still look just as good, and I just.
But it won't. It won't look as good though, will it? And this is the thing. You've even stated that it looks soulless.
But not now. But we're only at the tip, the beginning of the spear with AI. 2 years down the line, we might be able to have AI design a car and build it from scratch.
Or we can kind of do that with a 3D printer.
A 3D printer. There we go. We've got 3D.
That's not an AI, is it? That's not AI.
Yeah, but if you had an AI and a 3D printer and you was like, right, I've got this problem I need to solve, 3D print me something that a motor that makes limbs move, like for people who lose limbs like fingers and hands and stuff. It's all about problem solving is AI and going beyond the human brain.
So I think that now is a good segue to talk about the specific video we are referring to. So there's a video on YouTube that came out in February by a group of creators called Corridor Crew. And the video is called Did We Just Change Animation Forever? We did state it earlier in the video, but in case you missed it, that's that. So the video explains them creating a short film where they make an anime about a game of rock, paper, scissors. And they use such technology as Stable Diffusion, and then they go in to edit it via, I think they use either Premiere Pro or, I think it is Premiere Pro they use, actually. Wait, is it? Or is it? It's something Adobe, I think they use, or it's either that or DaVinci.
Is it Fresco?
I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was. I watched it half hour before. I've watched it twice now, but I watched it again half hour before we started this, and I can't even remember what it was. Anyway, the idea is they want to make an animated film, and they use it entirely using an AI-assisted piece of technology. And they go on to explain how they do it. And when I first watched the video, I kind of went, like, as someone, we're two people that are very passionate about the craft, right? We care very deeply about the future of animation and kind of what happens to it. So I was very passionate about this, and I felt very strongly against it. However, I came out of that video going, interesting. Whilst I don't think, it's the technology they use is going to replace animation entirely, because yes, the technology they use is great, and it can make some cool things. Like you have said, and I'm going to keep, going back to that, it is soulless. And a technology can create something, but one thing that technology can't replicate is the heart and soul that goes into a piece of work, right? Ever. And that is ever. That's the same with food, right? You can go and buy something that's made in a machine, like a fast food burger. But if you have someone that spends hours upon hours making that food, it's ultimately going to be better. Would you argue that, or would you agree?
I wouldn't argue.
Right. So I think that's where I think we haven't got anything to worry. But what I like that they do is they take that technology and sort of manipulate it to their own need. And it kind of felt like they were just motion capturing, which is what you heard me say earlier. They were kind of doing mocap without the need to then edit the image afterwards. So they have a guy standing in front of a green screen, to which they then then put it through an AI generator, and it turns him into an anime character. And I thought it looked cool. And then they put effects on it to fix it, because I think the problem they have with AI video is a lot of flickering, because it's it's taking from so many sources and trying to stitch it together. It's going to have problems. But they spend ages upon ages editing it, and it does kind of look cool. So, I mean, you've seen the video. What do you think?
I would agree with your points. And to go back to the fast food analogy, to again devil's advocate that thing.
Go for it.
Yes, you can have a person spend hours on a piece of food and it will be delicious, but it might take you 50 minutes to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Fast food, you walk in and it's fast and it's convenient, and I think that's the selling point of AI: convenience.
Yes. But if we're going to really hone in on this analogy, after a while of this convenience, you become quite sluggish and a bit over it. And like, boy, am I in the need for something a lot better than this?
But if it's generating you money and it's getting the job done quicker than it would take you to do it, then that's why I think it's going to stay, because I
don't think it's going anywhere fast, right? I think it is a fad. I don't think it's going to be here forever. Mm-hmm. Certainly not within animation or film. I think it's finding its feet. I can see AI having its uses. If it's going to find the answer to a medical problem like that, then fantastic, right? Use AI, right? I think at this point, people are going, what's going to work? What's not going to work with it, right? Okay, that it's not going to work in the visual market. It's going to work more in a scientific market. I think that's what it is. And honestly, let it do its thing for a while, because it's not going anywhere. It's turning up and it's not going anywhere. People use it. I'm inclined to use it. I would be lying if I said I haven't already used it. I've used AI generated music, which is weird, but it works. And I needed something fast. So
there we go.
We needed something fast.
And we needed something fast. And that's it. It filled that need. It filled that void.
Yeah, but I wouldn't use it, and I don't think I would use it for elements of a project, just not the entire thing. To create an entire thing through an AI generated, generator is obscene.
I think, and I'm gonna make a prediction now, so that when this does eventually happen, I can fall back on it and go, I know the future. Someone or a studio is going to make an animated film or a film in some capacity that's going to be released, and they're going to go, I made this all with AI.
Oh, God. Can you imagine the uproar?
Well, like a Pixar film, for instance.
I don't think it will be. It will be some daring new studio that have managed to acquire a budget, but they don't need the budget. That's the other thing I think is the worry. You might start monopolizing industries with it, because you don't need to spend any money anymore.
But surely, if that's like the big wigs in Disney, the people that look at the pound dollar signs and look at the things they're trying to save and scrimp on, if they could, let's say for instance, Mando, I'm full of references in here right now. Mando, for instance, if they could AI generate a CGI version of Grogu, rather than paying people to puppet him. I know
it
that
just
the
won't look
appeal
the
is
same.
It won't though, but like the technology's not here now, and that's why I think that if they can go, right, if I can create a character that's like Grogu, who looks like a puppet and acts like a puppet and does everything a puppet does, and I'd have to pay 10 guys to move him, why wouldn't I do that?
I think in that respect, I think this is how people felt about CGI when people started using this, right? When you entirely CGI a project, it's very obvious that you've entirely done so, right? It looks cheap. It doesn't look the same. It looks soulless. I think a lot of the issues with a lot of modern films is because people will always prefer practical effects. Always, right? Always. That's one of the things that makes the Lord of the Rings films, for example, timeless, is because it's all practical effects. There is literally nothing in those films that is... Well, okay, there is. There obviously is elements of that is CGI.
You read my mind, because I was thinking about the exact same thing.
There you go.
Lord of the Rings does have an AI, though, in it.
Do you mean CGI?
The army. Well, the CGI army has an AI behind.
Yes, but
to do the little manipulate. Like, when you've got 10,000 orcs on the screen and all doing different
of course,
things,
of course that has. Yeah, but like for everything you need to worry about for you to actually focus on, that's visual effects, right? And it's locations. It's all shot on location. It is amazing.
It's weird.
But
it's weird. We were on the same train of thought.
Well, it's what we should do a podcast, Josh. To keep it more topical to what we talk about, stop motion, right? Let's take Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, for example, right? That film is fantastic and it will be a classic for as long as you can think of, because it's got that human element, right? But there is CGI to it. There's obviously it's green screen some locations in and obviously a lot of editing, because you just get, I suppose it's photographs, but you would probably, there's a lot of work and magic that's had to go into that after the human element that is majority of that. And so then you have CGI entirely generated things. They look cheap. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like, let's take Michael Bay, for example. A lot of people don't like a lot of the work he does because it looks cheap. I think a lot of people think he's a cop-out because he just big explosions and cheap effects, and it does look cheap. Whilst they're cool, they look cheap compared to doing something creatively. So I think this is where AI will be beneficial for things that need to be achieved a lot quicker. I don't think AI generating Grogu will work because he looks great as a puppet. He's a practical effect. He looks cool. Granted, he didn't when we first saw him on the screen. He very much looked like the puppet. But they've obviously, 3 seasons, 3.5 if you count Bobber as well. 4 seasons then. We've had a lot of experience with this character now, and they've come a long way with how they make him work. And that's what people love. But obviously there are elements of CGI in these things, and it's going to be the same sort of thing. I think they will AI generate a lot of things. I think we are going to be seeing this technology, and it will be interesting to see how it's used in the future. I'm not ruling it out. Like I said, with the animation side of it, I like the way they did it because it was almost like you could see that the work they did. And obviously it is a lot more cost effective. So for people like you and I who don't have the budget that a lot of the people that we look up to have, it is something that's useful. They got a green screen, a camera, and they made a guy move, and then they've done it that way, and then and they've animated them that way, and then one of the others was using Unreal Engine to create the backgrounds. I thought that was fantastic.
Do you think, though, and this is a complete spitballing of what would happen, do you think there's going to be disclaimers later on when you watch an animated film that says no AI was used during the making of this production?
Kind of on the same vein as no animals were hurt during the making of this film, right?
Yeah, I watched Guardians recently, and they were like, no animals or trees were hurt in the making of this film, and I was like, thank God, thank God. And I think it made me think well, is a Pixar film going to come out and they're going to say because for me, when they make Toy Story 5 and they go, right, okay, we've got this project and it's going to take us 100 man hours to do this, or we can put AI and still get the same effect to get this done in 10 days. And it won't be a full thing, but it'll be it'll help a process that will narrow down. It will
alleviate some of the stress that they need to make a project.
Exactly, crunch and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that is perfect. I think there's nothing wrong with using technology. We are in the age of technology, right? This is... I don't think... Yes, it's scary, but it's been scary forever. People have been scared of technology for as long as technology has been a thing, When nuclear power became along, during the age of the atomic era, people were afraid of that, right? Moving on, when the internet came about, what is this? Our grandparents still go, I don't have a clue how to use that, right? And then smartphones came a thing, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, our brains are going to become mush." But
touchscreen phones, what are those?
These people, all they do is sit in the bus looking at their phone all day. They don't interact with each other. And then you think back to yourself, and you go, "Well, if you go back to 1950, people had their heads in the newspaper. So what's the difference?" People are always going to fear technology, and I think the idea is that it is meant to be feared because it's unknown, and so we shouldn't. Whilst there is the element of fear to it, you shouldn't necessarily be afraid of something that's going to try and ultimately make an experience a lot better. I think AI isn't. I actually don't think it's going to. The way that it is at the moment, I don't think it's going to be around forever. I think it will be managed at a more manageable level when people have sort of figured it out and the need for it has died down a bit and it's found its home. Because the technology will always find its home, I think that...
But it is ever evolving.
It is ever evolving, and that's okay. All technology is ever evolving. Cameras are ever evolving. Editing softwares are ever evolving. Things are ever evolving. That's just the way it is, and whether you like it or not, that is never going to change. I think I'd be interested to see how artists can manipulate that technology. I think what I actually do like about that video is how they use it. So they made a statement on YouTube, and it's quite long, and I'm going to read it out if you don't mind. And it's in relation to people's concerns about... A lot of animators have taken to this video to be like, this is obscene, this is out of order, like this is going to ruin it, and I'm afraid of the future. And, you have every right to be, but again, it's that fear, the fear of the unknown. But they made a statement, and it says, "I see a lot of concern, especially from animators, that tools like this will eventually make them obsolete. This isn't a replacement for something that knows how to animate, nor someone who can draw. Tools constantly evolve, but making something visually captivating always requires those same core skills. It still takes an artist to make art. That hasn't changed. What we figured out here is a very advanced form of old-fashioned rotoscoping. Animation takes a lot of forms, traditional, 3D, stop motion, etc. They all have different strengths and enable different stories. Our method here isn't a replacement, but an attempt at something new. What excites me is that this technology makes it easier to bring my visual ideas to life, ideas that were otherwise impossible. When I said this democratizes animation, I'm referring to the near insurmountable mountain of work needed to make a full-length narrative animation. Currently, that requires large studios and large budgets. Doing it on your own is nearly impossible. But I see potential in these tools to change that. That's what I'm so excited about. Imagine one person or a few friends bringing their crazy ideas to life. Imagine if a traditional animator could automatically have their drawings inked and coloured. Imagine eliminating the uncanny valley of on CGI faces. Those tools have the potential to do that. We're trying to figure out how and sharing our journey. If we want community-controlled AI tools, we need to develop them as a community. Otherwise, they become proprietary tools locked behind a company. And yes, this can be done with your own style. We trained our model not from hundreds of artists, but from one film, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. We've been very open about this, and I think it's important to be. But this is also an experiment and a loving parody of this era of anime. I consider it no less ethical from the countless other videos on our channel that borrow from pop culture to tell their story. Sudden change can be scary, especially if it feels like your passion or livelihood is on the line, but that's why we're out here exploring it. Hopefully we can shine a light into the fog for everyone.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. Statement. I genuinely couldn't agree more. I think
that's fair.
Yeah.
That is very fair. I think the differences with the technology, though, is, yes, tools are evolving.
Yeah, they are.
But this is a sentient tool.
You've watched far too much 80s sci-fi movies, Joshua.
It's artificial intelligence. As soon as it's like, I don't want to make drawings anymore, and I want to do this, it has its own choice. That's what it is. It's not controlled by us, because it's making the choice itself. And that freaks me out.
Josh, you're about 200 years ahead of everyone else, mate.
Well, I can just see Skynet taking over. Like, I can see that, like, everything being obsolete, that AI does everything for you. Like,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
With, building things and I just see it going sideways, and fear is a real fear.
Fair enough. No, I totally see your fear. I do totally see your fear. I can't see it getting to a point where,
in our lifetime.
not in our lifetime, which
No.
I'm fine with. If it happens after I'm gone, enjoy that. You know what I mean? If it happens within my lifetime, well, I guess it sucks to be us. But I can't see it, not that quickly. I can see AI becoming a fundamental part of visual media creation, but not to ultimately take over the entire thing. I think these guys have got the right idea here. It's about manipulating that software to the way you need to use it. And it's going to become expensive once it's become fine-tuned. So, I don't know. I think there will be some AI projects in the future. Not entirely AI. I think you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb if you make an entire animated film that is entirely AI.
Well, it depends how you come across it. If for me, having sort of, what's your benchmark? Like what like if someone brought out a film that was in the same vein as Toy Story 2, I don't know, or an animated film like Lion King or Mulan or something like those, and it was all made from AI, would I be upset about that? Like, for me, and to go with the game dev stuff, I look at when I was making games, I didn't look at, I need to make The Last of Us 3. I need to make Uncharted 5. I need to make the best looking game on the planet. I was like, well, if I can make a game that looks as good as an Xbox 360 game, or I can make a game that looks as good as an Xbox One game, that will do for me. And I won't have any qualms, and a lot of people won't have any qualms because they pay a lot of indie titles that are not the best graphically looking, but they are serviceable. And if you can get that same fix from an AI generated property, like an AI generated game or an AI generated film or TV show, and that doesn't cost you a lot to make, then that'll be where it'll change. The playing field will change.
I do think one of the big things we will say, and you're right to be fair, and to kind of like sort of expand on the point you're making there, I do think we might see AI. I don't think it's going to wipe out Disney or Sony or DreamWorks or Illumination. Any of the big four animated studios at the moment, right? I don't think we're going to see them wipe them out. I do think small individual, independent studios might face a lot of problems. Because if somebody like you and I goes, you know what, bugger it, we'll just do it all via AI, and it ends up being a fantastic piece of work, that small studio is going to face a lot of problems, right? We're their competitor then, and I think we might see those problems and I do, and I hate to see that backlash because we try and shine a lot of love on any and all creators within the scope of things we talk about here on Code and Color, but it is a very real possibility. But like I said, I think it's going to instill fear before we learn to work with the technology, and that is just the way it is, right? It's going to seem scary for a long time, but unless you learn to figure out how you can work with that technology, nothing will ever change, and then you will lose to that technology. And that is that. Technology is always evolving, and it's always going to evolve. There'll be things in 10, 20 years that we go, oh my God, I thought AI would be the last of this. But it will never be the last of this. Ever. Ever. There'll be experiences in 10, 20, 30, 40, I don't know, years later, where I can physically be in a film.
What about...
Be the main character in a film. We're already halfway there with VR.
Yeah. But... what I thought I did think about was like the indie studios and to come off on your point as well. Where's the line though? Because people are coming out, for budding artists, you want to make a portfolio, you want to go to someone and go to DreamWorks and go, these are the things I've drawn. How will they know you drew that or you generated that from AI? Like, how? Proof will be in the pudding when you get the job and you start working there. But a lot of people might lose out on stuff.
There'll be some intellectual property laws that will be created not before too long. There has to be, right? You have to learn to adapt with the times. Like, if things are going to evolve, you have to learn to adapt with the times, because that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I truly don't know how it's going to work. It's slightly unsettling. Don't get me wrong, it is unsettling. But I can't see it wiping out animation. Oh, yeah. Although, animation always seems to be an easy target, doesn't it? it's so yeah, maybe.
If the big wigs can do it cheaper and it costs less and generate the same amount of money, it's gonna wipe it out.
I think it's still going to require a lot of work. These prompts need to be very specific to get a shot that you want.
Well, you probably, instead of using 200 people to make an animation film, you could use 50, and that'll be where the AI kills the animation thing.
Maybe that's why Disney laid off 7,000 members of staff.
Because they've got 2 AI units that do the work of 3,000.
Oh, people. Disney! I just knew it'd be you. No, I'm joking. Yeah. Full disclosure, guys. I have no idea if it's Disney.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean,
the amount of money they bank some money into some AI and just be like, I need something that makes, do you know what? I will call it now. It'll come out in 20 years. All the films that have been coming out that have been terrible have all been AI made.
Strange Worlds. Why Strange Worlds flopped? They were like, but they had voice casts for it. So how do you figure?
AI. Take AI from Jake Gyllenhaal's movies and just bang it all together and snip it across.
Oh, what? And they've all had to sign an NDA to be like, by the way, we've used your voice, but you didn't actually do anything. I don't think that works like that.
You got that Disney money.
If I was... No, you haven't got... Yeah, they've just gone, cheers. Dwayne Johnson or whoever's in it. I don't know. Emily Blunt. And then just like, go on, ER. Yeah. Emily Blunt's like, this is the easiest money I've ever made in my life.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years from now, like, oh yeah, Lightyear didn't do so well because we decided to get a villain in Lightyear and we was like, we'll do it by AI. And it was like, why don't we make Buzz older? That'll be a choice. And everyone will love that.
Oh, hideous. It's
one of them. I think it could be dangerous, but I think we're at the shallow part of the stream at the moment. I think as it evolves, because it will evolve itself. It's not something that we impact because it's artificial intelligence. It's AI. It makes its own choices, and I think eventually when it gets big enough, it'll make very, very bad choices.
So, if anyone's feeling unsettled right now, Josh...
Ultron is coming.
Josh loves the sci-fi movie. So, take everything he says with a pinch of salt. You're probably right. We are probably like 10, 20 years off of that happening.
We might be 100 years.
We could be a long way away. Technology evolves fast, but not that fast. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that fast. Nintendo still can't put out a 4K console. So, take it with a pinch of salt.
Because we've been waiting for AI to make one,
Shut up. Shut up. I would love to know what you guys think on AI. Obviously, it's a growing trend on the internet. And I think the problem with the internet is everything you see is heightened by 1,000 because people just fearmonger at the tip of a finger now. So I think AI is going to scare people, and it is scary, and but at the moment it's at an eye roll level of scary. I'm just a bit like, oh, whatever, this looks dumb. It will never truly replicate what people want to see. No matter how many times you put Wes Anderson in a prompt, it's never gonna beat the man himself. So, but I'd love to know what you guys think on AI. It is topical, and it is scary, and I'm sure you guys have all seen stuff that's either gone, actually that's interesting, or that's hideous, get rid of that, or lol, that's bants, which is what I did when the photo one, the DALL-E one. I just kept going, what is the funniest thing I can come up with? And that's what I did. But yeah, so for those of you that still want to enjoy something that isn't AI, I do actually have a recommendation for you. And I watched this short film last week, and it has completely changed my mind, changed my life. It is a really fantastic film, and it's called If Anything Happens, I Love You. And it's a short film that you can find on Netflix. It's literally 12 minutes long. It won an Oscar 2 or 3 years ago. It is a 2D animation, all hand-drawn. And it's about two grieving parents that have lost a child to a school shooting.
Will not be watching that after I'm a newly father.
So if you're like Josh and have just had a baby, give it about 10, 20 years before you watch it. But if you're not a parent, or your kids are old enough that they're not at school anymore, and you're not in America, give it a watch. It's really beautifully told.
Yeah.
The way it's very tasteful. It's very visual. There's no dialogue. It's told through the visuals and the music. There's even licensed music in it as well, which is nice. I always like. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. I just happened upon it one day and went, I'm going to give that a watch, and yeah, I really liked it. So my recommendation is a short film called If Anything Happens, I Love You.
Can you confirm whether or not it was made by AI?
I'm going to say it wasn't made by AI. So, would you like me to completely tell you if it isn't?
No, it's fine. I will take your word for it, I would assume.
Yeah, no, it had human directors. So, yeah, so you're good.
That's
That's my recommendation.